Minecraft, a game known for having some of the most iconic and recognizable mobs in gaming history. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or someone that's completely oblivious to the game, you know the Creeper. You've stared into the eyes of an Enderman, you've traded with villagers, fought through piglin bastions, and most importantly, encountered the Chicken Jockey. They're all incredibly iconic to the point that the game would not be the same without them in it, but unfortunately, that cannot be said about all mobs in the game. Despite having a plethora of mobs with unique designs and features, there's quite a few mobs in the game that have absolutely no purpose, or a purpose so negligible it's a disgrace to the word mob itself. And since Mojang won't care to give these mobs useful features, I decided to take the matters into my own hands and give these mobs the newfound purpose they truly deserve. I'll be going through mobs that have some niche uses here and there, all the way to those that have absolutely no use and don't even deserve to be called a mob. And the first mob that desperately needs a rework is the rabbit. Now granted, the rabbit does have some features that are technically salvageable, like being able to craft jump boost potions using their feet, which, let's be honest, absolutely nobody ever uses. But the real issue is that Mojang is intentionally holding them back. It's like they've gone out of their way to deny rabbits the potential they clearly have. These mobs could actually thrive. They could have unique mechanics, better interactions, or even just something to make them stand out. Instead, they're stuck being fast, annoying, and completely forgettable. And that's not just sad, it's disrespectful. But this wasn't always the case. Rabbits were once far more unique and, believe it or not, actually had potential. When they were first introduced, Mojang added the Killer Rabbit, a hostile variant with a 1 in 1,000 chance to spawn naturally. It was brutal, terrifying, and honestly kind of hilarious. But most importantly, it was a unique feature that gave the rabbit an identity among the sea of passive mobs. Eventually though, the idea was scrapped and the Killer Rabbit was left to rot, forgotten and unused. Now I can sort of understand why they removed it. Maybe it was too random or too aggressive for the average player. But still, it gave the rabbit a much needed personality. Then came bundles, and for a brief moment, it seemed like the rabbits were finally getting the purpose they deserved. The original crafting recipe for the bundles actually required rabbit hide, which gave players a reason to hunt them, finally a meaningful use. But Mojang, in true Mojang fashion, changed the recipe. Now you don't need rabbit hide at all. And with that one change, rabbits went right back to being pointless. Sure, you can still craft rabbit hide into leather, but why even bother when cows are so much easier to farm and drop leather more reliably? At this point, rabbit hide is just useless trash, another item to clog your inventory and remind you that the mob it came from had potential once. So alongside being extremely annoying to kill, it has no useful attributes. Therefore, I made the rabbit great once again. First, I made it so that you need rabbit hide instead of leather to craft the bundle, because let's be real, rabbit hide is the perfect material for a small, scrappy inventory pouch. It's a simple fix that instantly makes rabbits worth farming in early game. Second, I gave rabbits the ability to dig up Easter eggs. Every so often, the rabbit would dig into soft blocks like dirt, grass, or sand and uncover a small buried surprise, an Easter egg. Since the spawn egg textures have been updated, the old ones can now be used as Easter eggs. These eggs could contain minor loot like dyes, carrots, flowers, golden carrots, or rabbit feet, but there's also a slim chance that the egg just explodes in your face. It's cute, and it makes rabbits way more engaging to have around. Additionally, you can place these Easter eggs down just like you can place down turtle eggs. You can even mix different colored eggs together to really sell the Easter vibe. Now, instead of being a boring filler character, it can finally have some real use. But while rabbits at least have some moments of accidental usefulness, the llama is guilty of being utterly useless. The only case where llamas are remotely useful is when you get to kill the trader llama for the leads. Beyond that, it's one of the most boring, underwhelming, and forgettable mobs in the game. The only quirky thing it has going for itself is the fact that it spits at you. It doesn't fight, it doesn't carry much, it doesn't even like you. You can ride it, but you can't control it. If you were hoping to go somewhere with it, well, tough luck. Yeah, I get it, Mojang tried to give it a personality with the whole spits at you thing, but let's be real, that's barely a mechanic, let alone something worthy of an entire mob. The llama is quite literally just a worse donkey. Donkeys do everything llamas do, except better, with actual loyalty and usable transportation. So I decided to fix that. I weaponized the spit. Now, when a llama spits at a mob, it doesn't just do emotional damage, it does visual damage. The spit temporarily blinds the target, covering their face with a gross, drippy goo that you can actually see on their faces. Once blinded, mobs become disoriented and paralyzed, giving you the perfect chance to flee, fight, or just laugh. And if you are wondering what it looks like to get spit on by a llama, well, it's exactly as gross and humiliating as it sounds. Oh, and I also made it so you can finally control the llama while riding it, because seriously, what's the point of riding something you can't steer? Better yet, while mounted, you can activate the spit ability manually, tactical spitting on demand. It's still more of a gimmick than a game changer, but hey, weaponized spit is a pretty solid gimmick, especially when you can use it to troll your friends. So sure, it's still a slightly bitter funky knockoff, but now it's a dangerous one. Another mob that's technically dangerous is the polar bear. Dangerously useless, that is, and the only reason for its existence is the fact that Jeb's wife wanted them in the game. There's honestly not much to say about the polar bear that hasn't already been said about your alcoholic uncle. It's violent, aggressive, unpredictable, and worst of all, it serves no purpose whatsoever. Sure, I get the logic behind adding something to populate the barren frozen wastelands of Minecraft, but if you're going to add a mob just to make the snow biome feel alive, at least make it do something. Instead, we get this overly aggressive, overprotective mob that attacks you for walking too close to its cub, which by the way, you weren't even looking at, and they don't even drop anything worth risking to fight. All you're getting is a single undigested fish from its stomach. Mojang was like, hey, let's raise awareness about polar bear extinction by making them utterly useless and randomly violent. That'll send the right message. So what I did was, firstly, make them more terrifying. If you're trying to send a message that you probably shouldn't mess with one of nature's most dangerous apex predators, then make them act like it. Secondly, I gave them something to do. Polar bears now actively hunt fish from the nearest river or ocean. You'll see them patrolling the shorelines, jumping into water, swiping at salmon, and dragging them out. But they don't eat them. Instead, they give it to their cubs from whom you can steal the fish. And if that's not evil enough for you, yes, you can also steal the cub. If you kill both parents, the orphaned baby will follow you around. Feed it fish over time and eventually it grows into a full-sized polar bear that becomes neutral toward you. It's not exactly a pet, it doesn't love you, but it tolerates you, which honestly is the most realistic bear behavior Mojang could implement. And finally, I made them useful. You can now pin down the polar bear you stole to a specific location. Think of it like assigning it a guard post. Once stationed, it patrols the area and violently mauls any hostile mob that gets too close. You can now set up a biological security system powered by rage and fish. And the best part is that it works completely independently. So yeah, polar bears are still grumpy, still unpredictable, and still probably hate your guts. But now, at least they do it with reason. A mob that has no rhyme, no reason, and absolutely no right to exist is the Endermite. And before anyone jumps into the comments to chirp, actually they're used in Enderman farms, just stop. Please. Yes, Enderman farms are important, but if the Endermite is supposed to represent some kind of mysterious larva, a parasitic offshoot of the Enderman or Ender Pearls, then reducing its entire existence to being a glorified bait dummy is straight up disrespectful. It doesn't drop anything useful, it has no unique behavior, it barely lives longer than a couple minutes before spontaneously combusting. It's like the game itself is embarrassed of its existence. Now, if an Endermite spawns near chorus plants, it doesn't just flail around and die. Instead, it curls up and forms a cocoon. And while in this cocoon state, mobs suddenly become obsessed with it. They'll actively try to hunt it down and destroy it. So now you have a choice. Do you protect this little mystery bug or let it die like Mojang clearly intended? If you choose to protect it, after some time, the cocoon hatches into a new mob, the Enderling. A curious tiny Enderman that follows you around loyally. Feed it chorus plants and over time, it will transform into a happy Enderman, complete with a classy top hat. It will follow you around loyally and yes, it can even pick you up and teleport you around the map. And if you want to know what else the Happy Enderman can do, check out my last video where I added happy mobs to the game, including the Happy Enderman in its all chaotic teleporting glory. So there you go, from a disposable pest to a loyal, top hat wearing companion. The Endermite finally has a purpose, the Enderman finally has closure, and you now have a teleporting buddy. But while the Endermite at least has a purpose, however trivial, the one mob that has universally been declared to be the most useless Minecraft mob has to be the bat. Unlike every single mob in this list that at least had niche uses, the bat has absolutely no purpose. The only thing you could argue is using bat sounds to alert yourself of a cave, which, well, you'd really have to stretch the definition of the word purpose to sell that as a mob-worthy feature. And that same logic applies to literally any other mob that spawns in a cave. You could find a cave by hearing a zombie, skeleton, spider, creeper, enderman, witch, literally any other mob. And apparently, the best Mojang can do is change the best model. Seriously? That's it? Years of being the most useless mob in the game and their grand solution is, what if it looked slightly less like a crumbled piece of paper? So I gave the bat a much needed rework. Now, when you kill a bat, it has a chance to drop a bat wing, which you can use to craft a blindness potion. Perfect for trolling your friends or confusing mobs mid-fight. Also, opening a chest in a mineshaft now has a small chance to unleash a bat that flies out of it, purely to catch you off guard. It does nothing else, it's just there to jump scare you, but it might certainly add the tension of being in a cave, just having escaped a group of monsters just to get jump scared by a bat. But most importantly, bats now emit an echolocation pulse every few seconds that briefly briefly highlights the nearby ores, mobs, and cave tunnels. You can't control them, they're not your pet, but if you stick close, they will occasionally reveal things you'd otherwise miss. It's passive, it's subtle, and it finally makes bats worth not ignoring. So yeah, it turns out that even the most useless, forgotten, or downright annoying mobs in Minecraft can be fixed. They just needed someone with zero qualifications and way too much free time to step in and do Mojang's job for them. Whether it's rabbits digging up Easter eggs, llamas becoming biological weapons, or giving you the ability to kidnap baby polar bears, at least now, they've got something going for them. So Mojang, if you're watching this, and I know you're not, please give these useless mobs at least some purpose, or at least give me creative control. I promise I'll only slightly abuse it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, or sending it to that one friend who is a staunch defender of the bat. You know who they are. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.